he reacted inappropriately. And as a result, he's going to spend the rest of his life behind bars.
In the tumultuous landscape of gang life, where loyalty is currency and danger lurks at every turn, Suge Knight has navigated the treacherous path of courtroom battles and consequential sentencing, both for himself and for his friends. Here, I present some of Knight's reactions to sentences that I consider unforgettable.
Knight wore a cross around his neck and largely looked straight ahead as statements were read.
Reacting to his 28-year sentence. The courtroom was filled with anticipation as Suge Knight, donning an orange jumpsuit, entered the room. Knight's eyes, filled with a mix of defiance and resignation, scanned the faces of those present. Loved ones of the man he killed, Compton businessman Terry Carter, were there, some in tears, while others wore expressions of anger and grief. The judge, adorned in a black robe, took his seat at the front of the room. The air grew heavy with tension as he began to read out the sentence. Knight's gaze intensified, fixated on the judge as if trying to convey his unyielding spirit through his piercing eyes. The judge's voice echoed through the courtroom, each word carrying the weight of Knight's fate. The sentence, nearly 3 decades behind bars for voluntary manslaughter, hung in the air, causing a collective gasp among those in attendance. Knight's expression remained stoic, his face a mask of emotions carefully concealed. As the judge continued to read the details of the sentence, Knight's eyes never wavered. It was as if he was trying to etch the judge's words into his memory, to hold on to them as a reminder of the consequences of his actions. The death stare he gave the judge sent chills down the spines of everyone in the courtroom, a chilling display of defiance and a refusal to accept defeat. The loved ones of Terry Carter, sitting just a few feet away from Knight, watched his every move, their eyes filled with a mix of sorrow, anger, and a glimmer of satisfaction. They had waited for this moment, the moment when justice would be served, and now it had arrived. Their presence served as a constant reminder of the life that was lost and the pain that would forever linger. As the judge concluded the reading of the sentence, the weight of the moment hung in the air. The sound of steel doors slamming shut reverberated in Knight's ears, a haunting reminder of the life he would now lead behind bars. The courtroom, once filled with anticipation, fell into a heavy silence, broken only by the sound of stifled sobs and the shuffling of papers. Knight's gaze briefly shifted towards Carter's family, a fleeting moment of acknowledgement before he was led out of the courtroom. It was a moment that spoke volumes, a moment where the weight of his actions and the consequences he now faced were palpable. The once powerful rap mogul, now stripped of his freedom, walked away, leaving behind a legacy forever tarnished by tragedy. Born on April 19, 1965, in Compton, California, Suge Knight grew up in a neighborhood plagued by crime and poverty. Despite the challenges he faced, Knight possessed an undeniable charisma and a relentless drive to succeed. As a young man, he excelled in football, earning a scholarship to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. However, his dreams of a professional football career were cut short due to injuries. Undeterred by this setback, Knight turned his attention to the music industry. In the late 1980s, he began working as a bodyguard for the legendary rapper Bobby Brown. This experience gave him a first-hand glimpse into the inner workings of the music world, igniting a passion within him to make his mark. In 1991, Knight co-founded Death Row Records, a record label that would go on to shape the landscape of hip-hop and redefine the genre. With his imposing stature and shrewd business acumen, Knight quickly established himself as a force to be reckoned with. He signed some of the biggest names in the industry, including Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac Shakur. It was during this time that Knight's influence and power reached its zenith. Death Row Records became synonymous with controversy and excess, with Knight at the center of it all. He was known for his lavish parties, extravagant lifestyle, and a reputation for being both feared and respected within the industry. However, behind the glitz and glamour, Knight's empire was built on a foundation of violence and intimidation. He was no stranger to run-ins with the law, with a rap sheet that included assault charges, weapons possession, and even allegations of involvement in the notorious East Coast-West Coast hip-hop feud that claimed the lives of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious Big. As the 1990s drew to a close, the empire Knight had built began to crumble. Internal conflicts, legal troubles, and financial woes plagued Death Row Records. Once mighty label fell into disarray, and Knight's grip on power began to slip. And then, in 2015, tragedy struck. Knight's volatile temper and penchant for violence led to a fateful encounter outside a Compton burger stand. In a fit of rage, he ran down Terry Carter and another man with his truck, resulting in Carter's untimely death. This shocking incident sent shockwaves through the community and marked the beginning of the end for Suge Knight. Knight's involvement with the gang led to numerous altercations and legal issues throughout his career. He faced assault convictions and probation violations, which only added to his reputation as a dangerous figure. In fact, Knight has been implicated in the murders of 2 iconic rappers, Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, although he has never been charged for these crimes. But it was in 2015 that Knight's violent tendencies would come to a head. He was involved in a fatal hit-and-run incident that resulted in the death of Terry Carter and the injury of filmmaker C.L.E. Sloan. Knight claimed self-defense, but the evidence pointed to a deliberate act of violence. The courtroom scene during his sentencing sentencing was nothing short of dramatic. As the judge read out his sentence, Knight gave him a chilling death stare. It was a moment that sent shivers down the spines of everyone present. The intensity in Knight's eyes was a reflection of the darkness that had consumed him over the years. It was a glimpse into the mind of a once powerful figure in the music industry, now facing the consequences of his actions. Knight's career in the music industry was marked by his association with prominent hip-hop artists, including Tupac Shakur and Dr. Dre. He co-founded Death Row Records, a label that played a significant role in the commercial success of gangster rap in the 1990s. However, feuds with other artists, such as Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, led to the decline of Death Row Records. The relationship between hip-hop and gang violence, particularly in the context of figures like Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight, is a complex and often contentious one. Tupac, known for his raw lyricism and intense persona, rose to prominence during the 1990s, a period marked by the East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry. This rivalry escalated tensions between Tupac's Death Row Records, led by Suge Knight, and East Coast labels like Bad Boy Records, headed by Sean Diddy Combs. The feuds between these camps weren't merely musical, they spilled over into real-world violence, fueled by the affiliations and conflicts of the artists and their entourages. Tupac himself had deep ties to street life, having grown up around the Black Panthers and later becoming involved with the Bloods, a notorious Los Angeles gang. His lyrics often reflected the harsh realities of inner-city life, including themes of poverty, racism, and violence, drawing from his own experiences and observations. Suge Knight, on the other hand, was widely perceived as a powerful figure in the industry, but also as a controversial and intimidating presence with rumored ties to gang activity. The intertwining of hip-hop and gang culture during this era not only shaped the music but also contributed to a wave of violence that ultimately claimed the lives of both Tupac and his rival, the Notorious Big, in unsolved murders that remained shrouded in mystery and speculation. The deaths of these iconic artists served as tragic reminders of the dangers lurking within the hip-hop industry, where personal vendettas and street affiliations could have deadly consequences. Yet, amidst the chaos and tragedy, the music of Tupac Shakur continues to resonate, serving as a testament to the enduring influence of a genre born from the streets and shaped by the struggles of those who called them home. Financial difficulties also plagued Knight, with Death Row Records filing for bankruptcy in 2006. Despite his success and influence in the music industry, Knight's violent past and criminal activities ultimately caught up with him.
Once the most feared figure in all of hip-hop. But here he is now, Suge Knight, a former rap powerhouse, collapsing in court, where he's facing a murder charge.
Reacting to his shorter sentences, Knight collapsed in a courtroom one Friday shortly after a judge ordered him held on $25 million bail in a murder case. As the legal proceedings against Suge Knight intensified, the pressure on him reached its peak. The courtroom became a battleground, with the prosecution and defense teams fiercely battling it out. Knight, known for his strong-willed personality, was determined to fight for his freedom and prove his innocence. It was during his bail hearing on March 20th, 2015, that the world witnessed a shocking incident that would leave everyone in the courtroom stunned. The atmosphere was tense as Knight, dressed in an orange jumpsuit, sat anxiously awaiting his fate. The judge presiding over the case looked stern, fully aware of the gravity of the charges against Knight. As the hearing progressed, the prosecution presented their case, outlining the evidence against Knight. The defense team, led by his high-profile attorney, argued vehemently for his release on bail, citing his strong ties to the community and his lack of a flight risk. The tension in the courtroom was palpable, with spectators and media personnel eagerly awaiting the judge's decision. But then, in a startling turn of events that caught everyone off guard, Suge Knight suddenly fainted. The courtroom was thrown into disarray, filled with gasps and screams as his defense team sprang into action, rushing to his side in a frantic attempt to revive him. The judge swiftly called for a recess, and paramedics were urgently summoned to the scene, their presence heightening the tension in the already charged atmosphere. Witnesses recounted the scene as chaotic and almost surreal, with Knight lying motionless on the floor, his complexion drained of color and his body limp. The paramedics, amidst the commotion, worked feverishly to assess his condition and provide immediate care, while outside the courtroom, speculation swirled about the cause of his sudden collapse. Amidst the confusion, theories abound regarding the reasons behind Knight's dramatic fainting spell. Some suggested it was a calculated maneuver, a ploy to elicit sympathy from both the court and the public, while others postulated that the relentless stress and pressure of the ongoing legal battles had finally taken a severe toll on his health. Regardless of the conjecture, the incident injected yet another layer of intrigue and drama into an already sensational case, leaving observers grappling with its implications. Following his medical evaluation, Knight was swiftly transported to a nearby hospital for further treatment and observation. It was subsequently disclosed that his collapse had been triggered by a panic attack, a stark manifestation of the immense strain and anxiety under which he had been laboring. This revelation shed a poignant light on the toll exacted by the protracted legal proceedings, underscoring the profound impact on Knight's mental and physical well-being, and prompting a sobering reflection on the human cost of such high-stakes legal battles. Defendants fainting during legal proceedings can evoke a spectrum of emotions ranging from shock to skepticism, often adding an unexpected layer of drama to the courtroom setting. Such occurrences, while relatively rare, have the potential to disrupt proceedings and prompt a flurry of reactions from all involved parties. The sight of a defendant collapsing in court can elicit gasps of alarm from spectators, as well as swift responses from legal teams and court personnel. In some cases, the cause of the fainting spell may be immediately apparent, such as extreme stress or a pre-existing medical condition. However, the sudden onset of unconsciousness can also spark speculation and conjecture, with questions arising about the authenticity of the incident and whether it might be a strategic maneuver to sway sympathy or delay proceeding. Regardless of the circumstances, the well-being of the defendant becomes a primary concern, and immediate steps are taken to ensure their health and safety. Paramedics are often summoned to provide medical assistance, while the judge may opt to adjourn the session temporarily to allow for the defendant's recovery. Following such incidents, there is typically a period of reflection and analysis, with discussions centering on the underlying causes and implications of the fainting episode. These incidents serve as poignant reminders of the intense pressure and emotional strain inherent in legal proceedings, highlighting the human aspect of the justice system and prompting broader conversations about the welfare of defendants and the need for compassion within the courtroom. As news of Knight's fainting episode spread, the media frenzy surrounding his case intensified. Headlines screamed with sensationalized stories, fueling the public's curiosity and fascination with the fallen music mogul. The incident became a focal point of discussions, with debates raging about the authenticity of Knight's collapse and the impact it would have on his trial. It is important to acknowledge that the legal woes plaguing Suge Knight did not originate with his altercation with Tupac Shakur in 1996. In fact, his troubles with the law had begun much earlier. In 1996, Knight was sentenced to 9 years in prison for violating his probation, a consequence of his involvement in the assault on Dr. Dre. This marked the inception of a tumultuous journey through a labyrinth of legal battles that would overshadow his once thriving career. Even during his incarceration, Knight managed to seize headlines, further perpetuating his reputation as a controversial figure. In 2001, he found himself embroiled in a highly publicized altercation at the Source Awards, where he purportedly assaulted rapper and producer Jimmy Henchman. This incident only served to solidify Knight's image as a volatile and potentially dangerous presence within the industry. Upon his release from prison in 2001, Knight endeavored to resuscitate his career and reclaim his former stature within the music realm. However, his aspirations were promptly met with resistance and a litany of legal hurdles. In 2002, Knight faced yet another prison sentence, this time for violating his probation through associations with known gang members. This sentencing dealt a significant blow to Knight's standing and marked a pivotal juncture in his life. Subsequently, over the ensuing decade, Knight found himself embroiled in a series of legal entanglements, ranging from assault charges to allegations of drug possession and even involvement in murder cases. Each legal skirmish further tarnished his already besmirched reputation, solidifying his status as a polarizing and contentious personality. Despite the mounting legal challenges, Knight remained resolute, steadfastly asserting his innocence and vehemently contesting the allegations against him. However, the burden of incessant legal proceedings exacted a toll on Knight, both physically and psychologically. The strain and stress of courtroom battles gradually began to manifest, visibly wearing on him. This strain reached a climax during his bail hearing on March 20th, 2015, when an astonishing and harrowing incident unfolded. Knight succumbed to the weight of his legal troubles, collapsing in the courtroom as the enormity of his situation became unbearable, leaving onlookers stunned and somberly reflecting on the tragic trajectory of a once prominent figure. This dramatic moment was a stark reminder of the rise and fall of Suge Knight, a once powerful figure in the music industry whose life had been overshadowed by controversy and legal battles. As the courtroom drama continued, the world watched to see what would become of the man who had once held so much power and influence. Several documentary films have delved into the multifaceted life and controversial career of Suge Knight, co-founder of Death Row Records, presenting a comprehensive exploration of his impact on the hip-hop industry and the cultural landscape at large. Among these films, films, Suge Knight, American Dream/American Nightmare stands out, directed by Antoine Fuqua. This documentary meticulously traces Knight's ascent to power within the music business, examining his charismatic persona, business acumen, and connections to gang culture. It provides an intimate portrait of Knight, showcasing his ability to navigate the complexities of the entertainment world while also delving into his reputation for intimidation and alleged involvement in violent incidents. Through interviews and archival footage, the film offers a nuanced understanding of Knight's influence on the industry, capturing the highs and lows of his tumultuous career. Another notable documentary, Welcome to Death Row, directed by S. Lee Savage and Jeff Sheftel, takes a broader look at the history of Death Row Records, the iconic label Knight co-founded. This film provides a comprehensive overview of the label's rise to prominence, its groundbreaking contributions to hip-hop music, and the controversies that surrounded its operations. It explores Knight's pivotal role in shaping Death Row's signature sound and assembling its roster of artists, including such luminaries as Tupac Shakur and Dr. Dre. However, the documentary also delves into the darker aspects of Knight's leadership, addressing allegations of criminal activity and misconduct that ultimately led to the label's downfall. Together, these documentaries offer a rich tapestry of insights into Knight's complex persona and the broader cultural forces that shaped his trajectory. They serve as compelling reminders of the intricate interplay between art, commerce, and criminality within the music industry, inviting viewers to reflect on the enduring legacy of one of hip-hop's most enigmatic figures. Let's pivot from Knight's reaction to his own sentence and see how he reacted to that of his friends.
Surprise, number one, because I didn't think Keefy D would never get arrested. Nor do I want to see him get arrested.
Reacting to Keef D's sentence. The arrest of Keef D sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community and beyond. After years of speculation and rumors, authorities finally made a move in the investigation into Tupac's murder. But what led to Keef D's arrest and what charges does he face? On a fateful day in late September, a Nevada grand jury indicted Keef D on one count of murder with a deadly weapon. This indictment came as a result of the evidence gathered by investigators who have been tirelessly working to uncover the truth behind Tupac's death. The grand jury also recommended that up to an additional 20 years be added to the sentence for the murder charge due to Keef D's known gang affiliation. This revelation shed light on the darker side of Keef D's past and raised questions about his involvement in the shooting. Keef D, now 60 years old, is said to be one of 4 suspects who were present on the night of Tupac's murder. While authorities do not believe he pulled the trigger, there is enough evidence to indicate his involvement in the crime. The indictment and the gang affiliation further solidified the suspicions surrounding Keef D. The charges brought against Keef D have serious consequences. If convicted, he could face a lengthy prison sentence, potentially spending the rest of his life behind bars. The weight of these charges hangs heavy over Keef D as he fights to prove his innocence and navigate the complex legal system. The arrest of Keef D has reignited the debate surrounding Tupac's murder and the search for justice. Many questions still remain unanswered, and the investigation continues to uncover new leads and evidence. The case has become a symbol of the relentless pursuit of truth and the determination to bring those responsible to justice. As the legal proceedings unfold, the world watches with bated breath, eager to see how the story of Keef D and Tupac's murder will unfold. Will the truth finally be revealed, or will the case remain shrouded in mystery? Only time will tell. Dwayne Davis, better known as Keef D, is a name that has recently come to the forefront of the investigation into Tupac's murder. But who is Keef D and what is his story? Let's start from the beginning. Keef D was born and raised in the gritty streets of Compton, a neighborhood known for its gang activity and violence. Growing up in this environment, Keef D was no stranger to the dangers that lurked around every corner. It was in this unforgiving backdrop that he formed a bond with Suge Knight, the founder of Death Row Records. Keef D and Suge Knight's relationship can be traced back to their shared experiences in Compton. Both men navigated the treacherous world of gangs and drugs, forging a bond that would endure over the years. As they grew older, their paths diverged, with Suge Knight rising to prominence in the music industry, while Keef D remained connected to the streets. It was during the fateful night of September 7th, 1996, that Keef D's name became intertwined with one of the most notorious crimes in hip-hop history. On that night, Tupac Shakur was shot multiple times in a drive-by shooting on the Las Vegas Strip. Suge Knight, who was driving the car, was also injured in the attack. The investigation into Tupac's murder led authorities to Keef D, who admitted in his 2019 memoir, Compton Street Legend, that he provided the gun used in the shooting. This shocking revelation sent shockwaves through the music industry and reignited the debate surrounding Tupac's death. However, Keef D's involvement in the crime goes beyond just providing the weapon. He is said to be one of 4 suspects who were present on that fateful night. While authorities do not believe believe Keith D pulled the trigger, there is enough evidence to suggest his involvement in the shooting. Despite the mounting evidence against him, Keith D has maintained his innocence. And what makes this case even more astonishing is the stance taken by Suge Knight. The Death Row Records founder has refused to testify against Keith D, claiming that authorities have arrested the wrong man. This unexpected twist has left many questioning the nature of the relationship between Keith D and Suge Knight. Their bond, forged through shared experiences and a mutual understanding of the dangers they faced, has stood the test of time. Suge Knight's loyalty to Keith D has shocked the hip-hop community and raised eyebrows in the ongoing investigation. Keith D's memoir, Compton Street Legend, sent shockwaves through the music industry and reignited the investigation into Tupac's murder. In his book, Keith D made a startling admission that he provided the gun used in the shooting, prompting investigators to dig deeper into his story. The revelations made by Keith D in his memoir opened Pandora's box of questions and suspicions. Investigators saw this as an opportunity to uncover the truth behind Tupac's murder and bring justice to the iconic rapper. They meticulously combed through the pages of Keith D's memoir, searching for any clues that could lead them closer to the elusive answers they sought. As investigators delved into Keith D's story, they discovered a web of connections and potential motives. Keith D's admission raised eyebrows and pointed to his potential involvement in the shooting. But it wasn't just his words that caught their attention. It was the evidence that began to stack up against him. The investigation revealed that Keith D was one of 4 suspects present on the night of Tupac's murder. While authorities did not believe he pulled the trigger, they found enough evidence to suggest his involvement in the crime. This evidence, combined with his admission in his memoir, made him a prime suspect in their eyes. The scrutiny intensified as investigators dug deeper into Keith D's past and his connections to the hip-hop world. They uncovered a history of gang affiliation and a network of individuals with potential motives for wanting Tupac dead. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly coming together, painting a picture of a complex web of relationships and rivalries. The investigation also revealed that Keith D's nephew, Orlando Anderson, was previously believed to be the shooter. However, Keith D's memoir contradicted this theory, claiming that Anderson did not pull the trigger that night. This revelation further complicated the case and led investigators to reevaluate their initial assumptions. As the evidence mounted, investigators began to build a compelling case against Keith D. They uncovered witness testimonies, surveillance footage, and forensic analysis that pointed to his potential involvement in the shooting. While the full extent of his role remained unclear, there was enough evidence to indicate that he played a significant part in the events that unfolded on that fateful night. The revelations made by Keith D in his memoir and the subsequent investigation have shed new light on the complexities of Tupac's murder. The case, once shrouded in mystery, is slowly unraveling, revealing a web of connections and potential motives that have captivated the public's attention for decades. The impact of Knight's refusal to testify cannot be understated. His decision has dealt a significant blow to the prosecution's case, as his testimony could have provided crucial insights into the events that unfolded on the night of Tupac's murder. Without Knight's cooperation, the investigation faces an uphill battle in uncovering the full truth. The implications of Knight's stance go beyond the immediate impact on the investigation. It raises questions about the loyalty and code of silence that exists within the hip-hop world. The refusal to testify against a fellow member of the community speaks to a deeper sense of loyalty and protection, even in the face of potential consequences. Similarly, Knight's connections to both Tupac and the broader hip-hop industry have led to speculation about his potential role in the events leading to the rapper's death. The intertwining of these figures within the complex tapestry of hip-hop culture has only served to deepen the mysteries surrounding Tupac's murder and other unsolved deaths within the genre. As investigations continue and new evidence comes to light, the controversies surrounding these tragic losses persist, leaving a lingering sense of unease and suspicion within the hip-hop community and beyond. As we await to see what becomes of Suge Knight when he steps out of prison in 2034, the intrigue surrounding his past actions and alleged involvement in these incidents adds yet another layer of complexity to the ongoing saga. The hip-hop community and the public at large remain eager for answers, hoping that with time, the truth behind these enduring mysteries will finally come to light. If you like this video, just tap the card on your screen now to watch more videos.